Do you know the importance of having an email list for your business? If not, this is a video that you're going to want to watch, because if you are in any kind of network business or using social media for your business, you need to listen up, because we need to create an email list. So get ready, get set, let's go. Today we're talking about building an email list. Oh my goodness. So for some of you guys, this may seem like something that maybe you used to do, or maybe you started doing in your business, or perhaps maybe you've just never done it. Because what happens when we start a business nowadays, right? We usually use our social media to get our message across, whether we're selling products, whether we're selling trainings, courses, whatever it is. 9 times out of 10, you are probably using your social media platforms to do so, right? Like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, name it, you've got people out there working it. So here's where the scary part comes in. This is why it's scary. For one, you do not own any of the content that you are putting on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest, Twitter, whatever you want to use. You don't own that. Meaning, what if tomorrow Facebook crashed? What if it crashed? What if your profile was deleted? Have you ever been in Facebook jail? Yes, I know many who have had that happen to them, right? Getting into Facebook jail. For whatever reason, they have misconstrued the algorithm and Facebook has decided, pause, you're gonna hold on and wait. What happens when you run your business based on the information and the contacts that you have through those platforms? Either you don't have access to it, or it gets deleted or lost, or goodness gracious, what if it just disappears forever? Here's another scenario that I want to throw out at you, and it's probably one that's more personalized towards myself, because I personally am not a Facebook fan. So sorry, Mark Zuckerberg. I just am not. For one, I see that there's a lot of drama, there's some negativity that happens on Facebook, and honestly, I don't have time for that, right? Like, my mindset is all about driving my business forward, working with my team, meeting my goals, and then I use social media for being social, right? So catching up with family or friends, things like that. So I don't necessarily rely on Facebook. Again, just my personal preference, that's just me. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't like other social media. I live for Instagram, right? That's normally where you're gonna find Jacqui hanging out, is around Instagram. I happen to love it. Of course, on YouTube, you're gonna find me there. Pinterest, don't even get me started. I'm there for a minute. But here's the thing, you guys. I have built a business around social media. I'm very proud to say that, because it took a lot of time and energy and effort and intention to do that, okay? So if you also are like me and you've built your business that way, kudos to you, my friend, because hello, that's a big accomplishment. So pat on the back, because that is well done. The problem with that becomes, what if your customer base, your team networking system, or for whatever reason, something crashes, gets deleted, right? All of those contacts that you have on social media are gone with the wind. And what would happen to your business if that were to happen? How would you follow up with those people? Now, if you're in Scentsy business like I am, right? We've got a workstation where we can create contacts, we can track things, right? There's also another app called Amy that we use that also just locks in the background of our workstation. So we've got some content there. Depending on if you use Trello or any other CRM for your tracking or business needs, right? Hopefully you've got some little pockets of pieces where you could maybe put everything back together if for some reason you lost your content, or if the platform itself just either wasn't working or went away, right? Now, we hope that that would never happen, but let's really think about this for a minute, you guys. We are right on the cusp of going into 2021. And let me tell you right now, I know for even the little bit of time that I actually spend on Facebook, that I am seeing almost like a big exodus of people who are like, I don't want to be on Facebook anymore, for whatever the reasons are, right? What if those are your customers? Again, how are you going to stay in touch with them? Here is the actual true thing that you need to have. You need to have an email distribution list. You just do. So I am someone who I originally started my business pretty traditionally, right? And I organically grew my audience through social media. Now, that doesn't mean that along the way I haven't done events or had different opportunities in which I've been able to bring in those customers, also team members, right? And kind of pull them into my circle. Here's the thing though with all of that, right? If I'm not adequately using an email distribution list, then I'm not really maximizing the exposure to my customer base and or my team. This is why it is so important when it comes to having a business that includes network marketing, any kind of social media. You need that email distribution list. Now, another thing to just remember and keep note of is that Rome was not built in a day, my friends. Now, you are not going to instantly have a whole email distribution list, but I'm going to be talking to you about how you can create that email list so you have that information and then can move forward from there. One of the questions that I see asked very, very more often lately is, how are you actually getting people to sign up for your email list or what have you, right? Now, one of the great ways that I like to do this is to capture information. Think of this just the same way as if you were in person. If you were standing face to face with someone and talking about your business or talking about your products, and they wanted more information and they wanted to be able to follow up with you, what would you do? Most of us would maybe have a notebook, pad, pen and paper, or a form that we would give them and say, go ahead and fill that out with your info. I'll make sure you get added, and that way you'll be connected. This is the same kind of action that we want to go ahead and duplicate when it comes to that type of a meeting on social media. So when we are reaching out, we need to be giving our customers and our followers, our base of people, right? We need to be giving them that form to fill out. Now, of course, it's probably not going to be a physical form. This can be done in a handful of ways. You can create a Google form, send that out. Use Jotform to create that as well, right? There's a lot of different tools and utilities that we have when it comes to apps and things like that, right? To be able to gather information from our customer base. So you need to have a way that you're going to be doing this. So again, Google Forms is one that actually works really, really well for me. I like Google Forms because I can have everything all in one place, but that's not to say that Jotform is not also a great tool to use, because it is. For those of you who might be like me and maybe put out some video content, maybe you're utilizing Instagram a lot more, maybe you're utilizing the Reels feature, TikTok. Think of all of those different ways you're using video to communicate. Being able to complement your video content with a form for your followers to complete is going to be a great way to get them involved. That's right. So maybe you want to offer out some free content. Maybe that's receiving samples. Maybe that's if you're talking to leaders, like I usually am talking to leaders, hey, here's some information on tracking your business contents. Here's a free workbook that you can sign up for that you will get, right? So you're being able to give something in order to get something. We have to be thinking in that give and take mindset when it comes to really building that email list, right? So think about different things that you could do for free with your customers. That might be looking like samples or invitations to an event that you have coming out, anything like that, in order to capture that information. So not only are you signing them up or giving them that freebie, but you're also pulling them into your email list. Now, breaking all of this down, having an email list is what we want to market to our customers. This is the tool that we're going to use to speak to them. The people who are wanting to sign up for your email list are probably already connected to your Facebook or your Instagram, your Pinterest, your blog, what have you. So these are people who truly have an interest in the content you are sharing, whether or not that's training, leadership materials, or it's product or consumer based. One way or another, they are already keyed in and listening. So now we just have to capture them in a different way. The big, huge point of all of this is that this puts you as the owner of your contacts. What I mean by this is, if Facebook is where all of your contacts are, where you have those relationships, where you have those conversations, whether they be in groups or pages or in chats, again, if that all goes away, if that information were to disappear, how are you following up? That is why it is so important to have that email list, because that is something that you own the rights to, right? So capturing their information is giving you complete control over that information. I'm gonna stress this one more time, you guys. If Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, for whatever reason, were to remove your account or it gets erased, you don't own your followers. That's right. You can't email Facebook or send a message to Facebook and say, hey, you deleted my account. I need all my people back. They're not going to give you that information because you don't own it. They do. And so in order to make sure that you're owning the content, that's where the power of the email is coming in. One of the ways I like to be able to do this is to actually drive people back to that place where I can capture that information, right? So in my bios, that's usually where I have an option to be able to click in to get on my list, right? I personally have a couple different lists because I use them for different things. I do a lot of trainings, and so I'm speaking to a different audience than I am in my product-based business, right? So having those two lists with two different reasons for having them is going to give me more flexibility and more control over the content that I'm giving out. So you can drive people to the place to be able to fill that information out. For example, if you're going to be using Pinterest and you put a pin and you create a pin and you put it on Pinterest, you can add a destination link. That link should be driving people to where to sign up for your email. Now, you can do this, like I said, through your bios. So on Instagram, on Facebook, have it be an option in your VIP page that maybe they sign up using your form to be able to have access to the content that you're giving in your VIP page. That's just an example of how you can draw people to where they need to be. Now comes the business of, you've got some email subscribers. What do you do with them? First things first, you do not want to drown them in sales. Here's the golden nugget, you guys. If people are signing up to be on your email distribution list, the last thing they want is to be just a spot where all of your commercials or marketing hits. That's not what they signed up for, because 9 times out of 10, they signed up and they're following you because they know, they trust you, right? We know this. And so because we know this, we have to make sure that we are respecting the relationship that we've already created. So we don't want to be selling to them all the time. Does this mean you don't want to let them know if you've got a sale or a special or a deal happening? No, of course not. You're still going to do that. But you're kind of going to go back to that 80-20 rule, right? 80% needs to be building that relationship. 20% needs to be sales driven. The relationship is where the interest needs to be. That's where your interest needs to lie, is building that relationship, because that's how businesses are made. That's how we convert people from just liking or following into customers. Another tip that you want to do once you have that email list is when you are actually sending out content on that email distribution list, you need to be writing as if you are writing to a friend. You do not want it to sound like some stylized commercial. You don't want to sound like you're talking to the masses. You want it to sound like you are having a one-to-one conversation with someone that you already know. Again, filling in that like, know, and trust factor. That is why they're following you in the first place. Don't burn that bridge. Not only that, but it's also going to increase your open and delivery rates. So if you're really looking at this as more of a data or analytical standpoint, again, open and delivery rates, that's really where you get the conversion between sending out an email and somebody actually clicking on that email, opening it and reading it. And a conversion rate would be when they do that, do you have a link in there to more content, to a video, to a product that is newly released? That's where you're going to convert them to actual customers. Finding the value and the actual true potential of having an email list is going to help you build your business. Again, especially with a product-based business like we have with Scentsy, being able to have that email list, creating those relationships, that is where you're going to build that customer base wide. That is also where you're going to probably find some of your next team members in building your team. Because if you are truly here building a business, then that is one of the key things that you really have to focus on, right? We know that we have to build those relationships and create communication channels to where we can then take our customers from buying and hosting to then joining us and doing this for themselves. Even if it's just to support their hobby or if it's for that bigger financial outlet. This is what the email distribution list can do for you. Remember to keep these key things in mind. Like I said, don't be writing to the masses. Make it sound like a personal invitation, a personal letter. You want to be talking to someone. You also do not want to be railroading them with all of your sales and product-based issues. You want to make sure that you are really focusing in on building relationships, not just capturing sales. Great ways to be able to get the information to create an email distribution list are going to be using Google Docs, using Jotform, or another great software that you can use is called CONVERTKIT. CONVERTKIT does have a free option. It really works well in just capturing that audience and that information. So in your way of doing business, you're going to find ways that you can integrate this into it. Like I said, focus on things that you can set up for freebies, for more information, to be on my VIP mailing list when you want to be in the know, and then use that email distribution for its powers for good. And you're going to build relationships strong that are going to sustain you and your business.